Happy New Year. It's a gorgeous day out today. It's 63 degrees. If I wasn't walking in it and feeling it, I wouldn't believe it. And, it's nice to be off and to relax and to have some forest therapy. I'll talk about that in a moment. The issue that I didn't discuss in a little thing I put together yesterday about what it's like crossing over from 2022 to 2023 is the war with Putin, how he went into Ukraine to show how far Russia has come from the collapse of the Soviet Empire in 1991. And he assumed that, and as much as this has been denied, he assumed that we, that is the United States and the Western Allies, would prove to be a paper tiger. And as was true at the beginning of this conflict, everybody thought, Ukraine would drop in a day or so. The United States did something, however, that a lot of people didn't think was possible, and that it came in and helped. Slowly at first, but then more vigorously, and there were people in America who were pushing for it. And I don't know if you read Foreign Affairs, but it's a great magazine, and they have a terrific article about this in there. And they talk about the possible outcomes that we can have. One, of course, is that Putin would withdraw without any settlement. Now, that's not going to happen. It'd be very dramatic if that happened. Another is he might settle for getting Crimea and keeping that. That would satisfy him. So I waved my hands because this truck was coming right at me. There's some people, sometimes my politics gets in the way of the civility of others. So that's a possibility, but also that feels unlikely. There could be an escalation up to and including nuclear. And then finally, his own regime could collapse. We have no idea which of these will happen, but one of the things that we're going to vote on in the next couple of days in the House of Representatives is who the new speaker is. And the Republicans have taken a tilt toward Russia and toward Putin and against Ukraine. That could be complicated for what I think has been a success story. Now, my friends wondered why my background as a peacenik didn't come into play here. And maybe it's a whole lifetime of thinking about this, and my father coming back from World War II and everything else to bring me into the world, obviously. The only reason he came back. And so he and my mom, were very anxious about Russia. And in my grammar school days, I did these oratorical contests, and one of them was talking about the Iron Curtain and about Khrushchev. And there's a critical point in the speech where I say that Khrushchev turned his pudgy body toward America and us, wagged a pudgy finger, and said, "We will bury you." And so that was kind of the outline I had then. And I do know that Hillary Clinton, whom I supported for president, also believed that. And others have thought that they could find a way to do business together. And that has not been proven, certainly. So now we have the Republicans trying to shunt their support toward Putin, sort of proving what was true all along about Trump's strange alliance to be elected in the first place with Putin and Putin's dream of the Soviets. And, our guess that there must be something that Putin has on Trump to make him such a deferential and loyal supporter of whatever heinous thing Putin would do. Birds of a feather stick together, I suppose. And when you have a person like Putin who ravages and does what he wants, as any potentate, as any dictator might, it wouldn't surprise us that Trump would feel comfortable with such a man. But it is kind of interesting how he deferred to him. So when McCarthy probably prevails, having made the deals he must make to become the speaker with those people to get the votes that allow him to occupy that position. Among the agenda of items, good and bad, and I think they're mostly bad, I can't think of a good one right now, will be what he thinks we should do with Putin and Russia and the Ukraine. It does seem ironic that we've come from Trump trying to coerce Zelensky into helping him fight Biden in the election by conducting an investigation of Biden's son Hunter. And now here we have the Republicans taking the side of this war criminal. Fascinating. But the Republican Party, unlike what I've experienced through my lifetime, has become this heinous leadership tool for Trump and the worst ideas that were only whispered before this regime of Trump, if you will, and the crimes of Trump, and the compromise of our democracy for autocracy by Trump. So it shouldn't surprise us then when we're talking about Trump's taxes, but it must be frustrating to you as it is to me that what we do is we say, well, you know, he cheated here and there, but we don't nail it down. And I think part of that is because the analysis of such a data dump takes a little bit of time. But if I were picking out the areas I'd look at, I think that the audit is a secondary issue. What I want to do is, if I'm investigating him, is dig into the support for the extravagant deductions and values of property and those kinds of things that we can ascertain and prove that he was committing major tax fraud so that he would pay little or nothing in taxes. That's a public question that concerns us all, because we've already been concerned and alerted to the fact that not only is it true that some men and women are above the law, it is that one of the reasons they're above the law is how they manipulate money in America, how they compromise the best possibilities of our hybrid capitalism state and just take whatever they want because they can. And Trump was a vehicle for that. So I think the mistake has been saying things like, oh, it's just terrible he didn't pay taxes. That's not it. It's the fraud. And we have reason to believe that this is not a fiction, given not only what Cohen said, but when they had the local prosecution in New York County, and Bragg did not add Trump to it, there was evidence at the trial of how in his taxes Trump, had evaded taxes. Now I hear some expert talk about, oh, Trump avoided taxes. Avoiding taxes is legal. Evading taxes is not. False representation in your taxes is not. And I hear some of the so-called experts, pardon me, say things like, oh, you know, this is very difficult to prove. No, it's not. If you've ever done a tax case as a prosecutor, you know, yes, there's certain things that you have to have in your basket of proof to carry your burden of persuasion. We have them here. We're on notice that we have them here. But there seems to be a movement in America to run down the possible prosecution of Trump and to avoid it entirely, rather than make him have an accounting for his misconduct and swear by it. If we do nothing and we let this public enemy number one escape the need to account for his crimes, we'll pay for it in 2024. Because he's proven one thing, and that is he can do broken field running around every rule and law, and the people who wring their hands afterwards when they say, oh, look what he did, but then they don't do anything about it. So we have to put an end to that. I think it's a shame that I don't have my motorcycle. I drove past a bunch of people on motorcycles today, and I had this tug because it really is gorgeous out. And instead, I'm doing what I saw in a Washington Post article today, and it is that some people are going to the forest for therapy so that they can feel better. So here I am in my naked forest, in my, temple of nature. and it's gorgeous all around us. And people should embrace the things that are natural and make this world wonderful. And more than that, it's important we do so in the days and years ahead if we want to have anything like a life that matters. All the best. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.